Sam Bankman-Fried found guilty now on all 7 charges of fraud and conspiracy. It happened last night after a swift and very quick verdict. Former SEC chair and CNBC contributor Jay Clayton joins us to discuss what it means and where this is all headed. Curious just your reaction as we all heard the news that the jury would be coming back with a verdict as quickly as it did.
Well, Andrew, we talked about this in the past. This was a very crisply and carefully presented case. I think that most of the betting line that was watching the case saw that. The issues for the jury to grapple with at the end of the day, with all the testimony, including the cooperating testimony, were pretty clear. So, look, you never know, but it was not a great surprise that when the judge said, "Stay till 8 o'clock if you like," that 3 hours was enough time to get through all 7 counts.
So, Jay, here's the question. We were talking about this in the last hour. At this point, there is still the potential to bring a second case against Sam Bankman-Fried as it relates to campaign finance reform and how he had been moving some of that money around. That decision doesn't have to come from the prosecutors until February, the judge said yesterday. The question I'd ask you, as a former public servant and somebody who lives in this world, if you are a prosecutor, do you say to yourself, you know what, enough's enough, we've done the work, he's going to prison for the rest of his life, and it's not worth the tax dollars to keep going? Or do you say that there's a point that needs to be made from either a deterrence perspective or something else in terms of wanting to expose and put on record what took place? Do you decide to prosecute that case or not?
Well, Andrew, as a citizen, I'm in the latter camp. I think that Damian Williams appropriately characterized this as one of the largest financial frauds in history. As I see it, this is one of the largest campaign finance problems in history, and it's high profile. And as a citizen, I would like to see this case pursued. Now, how it gets pursued, whether there's some kind of plea agreement, but the facts of what happened here ought to be on the table, because Sam was not the only one participating in this campaign finance scheme.
Who else was, Jay?
I don't know. Becky,
it appears that all of the people who already pled guilty in this other case that were cooperating witnesses were party to what was taking place, because they were doing it through their names and talking. I mean, it was
his
openly,
mom, too? I heard
it was
you guys
openly
talking about
discussed in all of this. And the mother may have been involved. The father may have been involved. It's unclear.
And look, I'm not a scalps for scalp sake kind of person. But this goes to election integrity and all of the things that, gosh, they're in the news in so many ways these days. I do think it is something that the American people should see what happened here, see what's legal and illegal, and look, take the opportunity that people are paying attention to demonstrate what's permissible and not permissible in campaign finance.
If you're him, though, I assume at this point you would plead guilty to it just because you wouldn't want to spend the money to fight it if you're going to be in prison for the rest of your life anyway, right?
Well, you're right. The dynamic. That's why I use the word resolution rather than trial. The dynamics around whether this is a case that results in a plea agreement and the like, or one where you have to actually put the facts on trial. I probably lean, for all the reasons you said, toward some type of settled resolution here.
What do you think is a fair sentence?
I would like to see it. I'd like to see it pursued.
If you don't pursue it, I think it probably raises the question, too, of the political backlash on that. If you are pursuing election fraud against Donald Trump and things, and Sam Bankman-Fried was largely giving to Democrats, it looks like you're turning a blind eye if you don't pursue it, I would assume.
Look, Becky, I think you're exactly right. The question of whether to pursue something or not also has to come down to the ramifications of not pursuing something where many of the facts are already in the public domain. Many questions would be asked if this case were just dropped. Okay,
Jay, sentencing. So, as you know, this could go, I think, 110, 120 years. He's not 30 yet, I think. So, what do you think is a fair sentence?
Look, that's like what's where are rates going? I wish I knew. What's a fair...
I'm making you the judge and the jury. I mean, actually, in this case, the judge, because there isn't a jury who's going to sentence him.
For one of the largest financial crimes in history, yeah, I think you benchmark to other things, Andrew, and what we've seen is, in the range of 15 to 30 years, something like that.
So you don't think he should die in prison?
Lifetime is a long time. Everybody has their different views on this. That's something that when the state takes your entire life away, I feel that way in a lot of things. This is just a personal point of view. That's a big step. I would have to be quite convinced that was the only potential remedy here to put somebody away for life.